Hello everybody, me and my hoops. Welcome you back to my channel. So for today's video, I decided that I wanted to come on camera and test out the brand new Fenty concealer. Now, I initially wasn't even going to be doing a video on these products because I actually have tried the concealer one time off camera and it was a disaster. But the reason why I decided to actually do this video today is because I did some research and I realized that I was actually applying this concealer sort of incorrectly because I was just applying way too much, and I think the consistency of this concealer really requires some finesse and requires, you know, a little bit of a more delicate hand than just applying like huge giant triangles underneath the eyes. So I'm going to be retesting this concealer on camera with you guys today. I'm going to be using the techniques that I think will work best with this product. That way I'll be able to give you guys my full review, my full thoughts, so that you can decide for yourself if you think this concealer will be a good fit for you. I'm also going to be applying the foundation. Now, I have reviewed and have tried this foundation before, but I wanted to show you guys again how I actually like to make this work, because there's a very specific formula that I like to do before applying this product to make it work for my skin type, because it is a little bit more full coverage and more matte than I usually like to go. There are some things that I like to do to sort of just like make it work for me that I think could be helpful for a lot of you guys who may have bought this foundation and don't really love the way it looks on their skin. This is like my foolproof way to make it look amazing. So I really hope you guys are going to enjoy today's video and find it helpful. Don't forget to let me know in the comments what other products you'd like to see me review next, and please also let me know your thoughts on the Fenty products. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, and of course subscribe if you want to join the fam. So without further ado, let's zoom you guys in and get started. Okay, so we're first going to start off with the foundation. So the very first step that I like to take before applying my foundation, no matter what foundation it is applying my skincare right before. So I'm gonna be going in with my usual combo. I've been using these two products to death lately. You guys are probably so sick of seeing me use them, but I really love them. This is the La Neige Water Bank Moisture Cream for normal to dry skin, as well as the La Neige Water Bank Dual Layer Face Oil. So what I like to do is I first like to put on the face oil, or I like to mix the oil in with the moisturizer, just depending on my mood. And I'm just going to press first the oil all over my skin. Okay, then I'm gonna go in with my moisturizer, of course, take a generous amount, and just apply this all over my face. Now that we are fully moisturized, I'm going to move on to my primer. Now, I don't always like to use a primer. I don't always find that it's completely necessary, but with a foundation like this, like I said, that is so full coverage and so matte, I do like to put on a very hydrating primer, and this is the product that I have to say makes the biggest difference in the way that this foundation looks. This is the Hourglass number 28 primer serum. I find that when I use this underneath my foundations, especially more matte foundations, it sort of transforms it and makes it a little bit more hydrating. It also makes the texture a little bit more, I don't want to say wet, but it makes it a little bit more slippy. So when you apply it to your skin, it doesn't like attach to dry patches, and it sort of just glides on and melts into the skin rather than having it just sit on top of it and look really heavy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take about 2 pumps of this, and then again, just put this all over my face. So it really is all about the prep. So now it is time to finally apply the foundation. My biggest tip with this product is that a little bit really goes a long way. The last thing I would do is dot a whole bunch of this product all over your face and then blend it out, because you're gonna end up applying too much product than what you actually really need. So I would recommend applying just a little bit of the product on the back of my hand, about 1 or 2 pumps. Take whatever you're using to apply it. Today, I'm going to be using the Fenty foundation brush, just because you could use any foundation brush or even a sponge. And I would recommend just applying a little bit of product at a time by dipping your tool of choice into the foundation and then feathering it onto your skin, and just applying very thin layers of the product until you're happy with the coverage that you have. And you're gonna be surprised with how little product you actually have to use. This is a product also that sort of dries down. So you do wanna work on one area of the face at a time so that you don't get any streaks. And I'm just basically feathering this only on the areas of my face where I feel like I need that coverage, which is more in like the center of my face and not so much on the outer perimeter. So I'm really focusing that coverage in that area and then just feathering it out. And that's going to keep the product from looking heavy, and it's gonna keep it just not looking like I'm wearing a lot of foundation. So that whole cheek area is pretty much done with that tiny little bit of product. This pimple really came out during the best time, because now I will test out the concealer on this bad boy over here and we'll see how well it covers. Sometimes I get asked, like, If you're going to sheer out a matte foundation to make it look lightweight and dewy, why not just use a tinted moisturizer? The reason being is because foundations like this, like really matte foundations, are so long wearing and so much more long wearing than a really dewy, lightweight foundation. So especially if I have an event or if I want my foundation to last the whole entire day, I would so much prefer to go towards a product like this because I know it's going to last really, really well on my face. So there you have it. That is what the foundation looks like applied to the skin. You can see it has a really beautiful natural finish. All the oils that I put on underneath is not making my skin look overly dewy at all. Because it's such a matte foundation, it sort of counteracts it a little bit and balances it out. So it just allows a really nice natural radiance to come through. So next up, it is time to apply the concealer. It's really cute. The concealer is actually a mini version of the foundation, which is just so adorable. I really like that little packaging detail. And they say that if you know your Pro Filt'r shade, then you know your concealer shade because they correspond. So I use the shade 185 for my foundation, so my concealer is apparently supposed to be 185. So we're gonna test out that theory today and see if that's true. There's two ways that you could apply this concealer. You could either take the wand, put the product directly underneath your eyes like that, and then blend it out, or you can do the preferred method for me, which is to put it on the back of your hand and then sort of do like the same thing that we did for the foundation before the concealer, just to apply a little bit of product at a time. Now, the consistency of this product is definitely not a lightweight product. It is a very, very, very thick, opaque, and full coverage product. So you gotta be really careful that you don't apply too much because at the end of the day, you don't need that much. And I am gonna be using the little concealer brush from Fenty. It's the 180 concealer brush. And I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of the concealer and then start to feather this underneath my eyes. Now, when I initially applied this product, when I first tried it out, I went in with the doe foot and just applied it directly underneath my eyes, and it was a disaster. So that is why I really feel like just applying a little bit of the product and feathering it on is the way to go. As far as the shade goes, it's definitely really bright. My under eyes look awake. I would personally probably go like a half a shade darker or even a full shade darker because it's just a little bit too light for my preferences. I sort of need to disperse the brightness of this product throughout the rest of my face, otherwise I'm going to end up looking crazy. Now, I would say if you have a drier skin type, I would probably just stay away from this concealer altogether, because it is such a thick product that really is not emollient in the slightest. I find that it actually sticks to dry patches. I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade 190. It's just a little bit darker. And I'm going to apply this over my little blemish that I have on my cheek. I do sort of feel like this is a concealer that would work so much better as a face concealer and not so much as an under eye concealer. It has that perfect consistency for a face concealer because it's quite matte and it's very like full coverage and sort of sticky in a way, so it really does stay in place when you apply it. It's not like a super lightweight dewy concealer that will slip and slide around, because I'm going to save myself from applying a heavy amount of powder underneath my eyes, but I am noticing that this concealer does crease. Even though I applied a pretty small amount of the product, I do feel like it's settling in the fine lines underneath my eyes quite a bit, so I do want to apply just a little bit of powder. So for the powder, I'm going to be using this shade right over here from my Hourglass Unlocked palette, and so we're just sweep a little bit of that right underneath the eyes. I figured since this is sort of like a Fenty video, I might as well use some of the Matchsticks for the rest of my face. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the shade Amber. This is a really awesome cool toned contour shade, and the best way to apply these Matchsticks, instead of applying them directly to your face from the stick, is to first warm them up on the back of your hand like this, and then pick the product up that way. So to apply the contour, I'm gonna take my Smith 130 brush and just pick it off from the back of my hand. Pick it up from the back of my hand, and then just start to dab that onto the face. For the blush, I'm gonna be taking Yacht Club, putting that on the back of my hand. That's what the color looks like, it's gorgeous. And taking the same brush again and just using that to apply the blush to the cheeks. It's really, really pretty. To be honest with you, the Matchstick formula really isn't my favorite cream formula. I just sort of find that the formula is really stiff. So when you try to apply it, it just doesn't apply quite as smoothly as I would like. Whereas something like the Nude Sticks sticks are super emollient and very creamy. So they apply to the skin with like no effort, whereas this one I feel like you have to be a little bit more conscious of. I am going to be using the new Gloss Bomb from Fenty. This is in the shade Fussy. It's a really, really pretty sort of like warmish pink. This is the original, this is Fussy. You can see there's just a slight difference in the undertone, but it's not like a drastically different color. It's a really pretty shade. Okay, I'm just gonna go off camera now, do my brows and do my lashes, and then I'll be right back to give you guys my final thoughts on the concealer. So as an under eye concealer, my thoughts really haven't changed that much. I really, for me, don't think that this is going to be a concealer that I'm going to go back to for my under eyes. I just still think that it's way too dry, way too thick, and it's just not very flattering underneath the eyes. It's sort of like a strange type of consistency because it is really, really thick and opaque, but at the same time, it doesn't really have a super full coverage finish. That's not usually something that I care too much about. I just think that because of the consistency of the product, you would think that it would be a lot more full coverage than it actually is. Whereas I still feel like I see a little bit of darkness underneath my eyes. I don't feel like it completely covered up my under eye and made it look really flawless. However, I feel like this concealer is sort of the perfect formula for covering up a blemish because it's pretty thick, it stays in place, and it's also more on the matte side. So I think that it works really well in canceling out that color of the blemish and just sort of making sure that the concealer doesn't slip and slide around. I will say, it's definitely not the worst concealer I've ever tried. I just think it's not a foolproof concealer that I think will work well on everybody. I almost have a feeling that if you have an oilier skin type, you may actually enjoy this concealer a whole lot more than somebody who would have more of a drier skin type. Let me know down below if you do have an oilier skin type and you have tried this and what your thoughts are. I also want to say that I do think it's important to remember that especially with base products like foundations and concealers, it's very personal because it's basically based off of your own individual skin type. So I always encourage you guys to try out the products for yourself so that you could form your own opinion. But if you feel like, you know, we often have the same opinions on products, there is mine. But even then, I still always encourage you guys to, you know, do your own research, get samples, try it out for yourself and see what you think. As always, I would love to get all of your thoughts and opinions on all the products that I use today. And if you have used this concealer and you adore it, it's like your new holy grail, let me know any tips and tricks that you have for using this product, please. So guys, that finishes off today's review. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I also really hope that my tips for using the Pro Filt'r foundation from Fenty helped you out. Of course, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.